Hi, everybody. We are going to try something new today for this week, since it's Thanksgiving week. We're going to try showing you the first part of my study for a passage when I get ready to preach, let's say on a Wednesday. So what you're looking at here is BibleArc.com, and in this website, it allows us to do a particular kind of analysis of a text that I find to be really helpful for getting a kind of a quick overview of a passage. And so I'm going to show you how that works. I do this for every passage that I preach when I get ready to go for like a Wednesday, and I typically do it the week before. And here's how it works. So I'm going to first click on this plus button and create a new arc. Then I'm going to go to the passage that I want, which in this case is 2 Corinthians. And I'm going to go 2 Corinthians 8, verses 1 through 7. And that gives me, this is the ESV. So now I'm going to go up here and add different translations so that I can have them as well. The first one is going to be Greek and Hebrew, which in this case is Greek since it's the New Testament. I want it first, so I'm getting rid of the ESV. And then I'm going to put the LBLA, which is a Spanish version, KJV, King James, NASB, which is what the Pew Bible is, the Bible Church, and then the ESV. I wish they had more, but they don't. So what this allows me to do is click on individual phrases and see how they relate together, and you'll see how that works. So I really just want to talk this out loud so that you can see what it looks like, and one way that I put a sermon together. And I'm hoping that this is helpful for you. So we want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that has been given among the churches of Macedonia. The first thing to do is to take the verse divisions and actually subdivide that into individual phrases. So I'm going to use Greek first because it's the original text. And I'm going to put this together. So we want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that has been given. This is, we want you to know, brothers, of the grace of God. I might just leave that. This tells us who it's going to. We want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that was the given grace of God among the churches of Macedonia. I might just leave that, but I kind of like the idea too. Like, what does he want us to know? I'm trying to decide if I want to divide that up or not. We want you to know something. What do we want you to know? So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to divide it. Do you to wit. That's kind of funny. I don't talk like that all the time, at least. What do we make known to you about the grace of God? What about the grace of God? I'm going to leave it here for now. Okay. For or because Hathien in a severe test of affliction. So that describes something. Angry child affliction, something. In a great ordeal affliction, their abundance. Okay. Their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have done something, have overflowed. Really do it like that. Abounded. For they gave according to their means, as I can testify. And beyond their own power. So I wanted to divide these things up so that we can see. They were willing of themselves. So I'm actually going to do that. So they were willing, and beyond their power, they were willing of themselves. They gave voluntarily, of their own accord. So you can see how these things look a bit different. I think that's what this word means, authairetoi, like where we get the word author. I assume that's similar, but I'm not familiar with that word. So begging us earnestly for the favor. So they're begging us something. Begging us earnestly of taking part in the relief of saints. So this is the grace, the privilege, that we would receive the gift and take upon us a fellowship. Begging us with much urging. beg us earnestly for the favor. So that really needs to go down, and these need to go up. So the KJV has like a bit longer, but I think this is more right. Okay, so in this, not as expected. And this, not as expected, but. So no seen, okay. But. First of the Lord, they gave of themselves first. They gave of themselves. And then, and luego nosotros. So then to us. Y luego nosotros. And unto us. And then by the will of God to us. Yeah, it's hard to divide some of these phrases up. Honestly, this is not the most obvious passage ever that I have done. So that might not be ideal for a first video, but you're going to see how this kind of works as I finish breaking it up. So accordingly, we urge Titus what? That as it began, that as it began, so also así también, so he should do something, should complete among you this act of grace. So, but as you excel in everything, so we're going to divide every single one of these up. Faith, because it divides it up in the text. Faith and utterance, or speaking, speech, in knowledge, and all diligence, solicitud, diligence, earnestness. We've seen that word before in the previous passage. I'll just mark that he's been using the word earnestness in chapter 7. And in your love to us, the love that they didn't even realize that they have. Remember that from the previous passage, the love that we inspired in you. He talks about in chapter 7 how he had revealed his letters. The result of it was that their earnestness for Paul and his companions had been revealed to them in the sight of God. So he's kind of continuing that same idea. Okay, and in our love from us for you, in order that, bedke, see that, and so there's a bit of a difference. In order that in this work of grace, or charity, gift, you would excel. Okay. So this is pretty good. It's not a very easy passage to break up into specific like phrases, but we're going to see how this works. So here's where you get to arc individual passages. So in this particular one, you click on every passage. You click on the top of a line here, these little arcs. The idea is to produce something that shows one entire arc, like how the whole thing is connected. So first off, we want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God. He wants them to know something. What do we want to know about? So you have clicking the two corners, connect these two in an arc, and then you click this button, and you have these this list of several different kinds of connections and the way that individual phrases connect together. Now, the purpose of the program is to show all the possible ways that individual phrases can connect to one another. For this one, he wants them to know something. What does he want them to know about the grace of God? So it's something he's going to talk more about. He is explaining more. I'm going to use the explanation. What does he want us to know? That is, we want to know about the grace of God that has been given. You could subdivide that more, but I think it's helpful as is. For, or hatien, like in a severe test of affliction. So this says this thing happens in a severe test, their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. So these three things need to go together, and then we need to put this together with that. So for in a severe test of affliction, so that's what was happening. Their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed. So I'm going to put this as a series progression, actually, because they just go together. They progress from one to another. In a severe affliction, you could say like the location or when. When did this happen? So temporal. It happened in a severe test of affliction. The T indicates time, so I'm going to reverse it. The time is here. When did their abundance of joy and extreme poverty overflow in wealth of generosity? When they were in a severe test of affliction. So click out of that. This could be connected to here. It is, but there's a ground. But this might be underneath this as well. So I want to see how these things work more before I finish out, before I keep connecting. For they gave according to their means, and as I can testify, and beyond their means, like an even more of their own accord. How do they do it? So beyond their means, of their own accord, the giving of begging us earnestly. So this describes, as a series because they go together, a way in which these things were done. They gave, and they gave even more, but then this is the manner in which they gave. What were they hoping for? They wanted the favor of taking part in the relief of the saints, the grace, the kariti, like this act of grace. They were begging to be part of the grace or the favor of taking part in the relief of the saints. So they gave for the favor. So they begged and all that. So this is what they're wanting. They're begging, and this is the purpose. And you can even see here the hina, which is kind of with after. They begged after Kai for the favor, asking us earnestly. So what were they doing? They wanted that. They were asking for this thing. They wanted to this thing. Okay. And this, not as we expected, but, or we hoped, el pisamen, not as we hoped, but they gave themselves first to the Lord, and then by the will of God to us. So, and this is something that is a contrast. They gave differently than what they expected. So not this, but that, and then. So this is progression because it moves somewhere. And this is an alternative because you have one, not, oh, actually a negative positive. So not this, but that. So you have the not but Allah. So that word has nothing to do with the Muslim religion. It is the word for like but, like as an alternative. So you have that right here. Oops, don't want to do that. So you have that word right here, al, and then u is the not. So anyway, so and this not as expected. This is definitely underneath giving according to their means. So I think it's maybe an ideal explanation because he's expounding on it. They didn't do it, or it might be action manner actually, because what it was a bit of a surprise to them how they did it. Or could be situation response, but I don't think so. They did that, although we didn't expect it. I don't think so. I think it's better to say that it was a manner. The way they did it, so the manner is here, and the way they did it. They begged in this way, but for this thing, but then in actually doing it, the actual giving, they did it to the Lord and then to the apostles. So anyway, so accordingly, so because of that, so as a result of that, we urge Titus that as he had started, so he should complete. So these need to go together. As he had started, so he should complete. So even as, so he should. How to say that? I think it's comparing it. So just as, but that needs to be switched. Because the comparison is here that as he has started, so he should complete. That's what he should do. So this needs to go underneath that. Accordingly, we urge Titus. So this is, what did they urge him? They urged him that. They urged him that as he started, so he should complete. So I'm going to say explanation, explanation. We urged him. How do we urge him? We urged him that as he started. That is, we urged him in this way. So this, I think, before we get into as you excel in everything, I think we need to put this underneath something over here to see how it works together. We want you to know, brothers, is because of this. Okay, so this needs to be separate from that as its own little arc, and then that'll connect to that at some point later on. So these go together, and these two arcs are connected in terms of the ideas that Paul is communicating. So we want you to know about God, the grace of God, which is actually going to be their offerings. So in a severe test, their abundance of joy, their extreme poverty have overflowed. Because or for that, we want you to know that, or because or for. That word hati can mean all those things. We want you to know it because of what they did. So I'm going to say it's a ground. Because of this, we want you to know that. Because of what they did, we want you to know about God's grace. Okay, and then why? Because of how it worked, because of what they did. So this goes under that before we go over here. So these two connect, and then it continues to trickle down in terms of the way the passage opens up and the way Paul's communicating his ideas. Hopefully you can start to see how sermon points are beginning to be made, or a passage is outlined. Like, where does that come from? It's got to be a ground. So you have a ground here because of this, that, but also because of this, that whole thing. So this ground is nested inside this bigger ground. So the larger point is here, and we could just make this one sermon, and you can see how I could explain all these individual things, or keep working on it. Okay, so accordingly we urge Titus that as he has started, so we should complete this act of, among you this act of grace. But as we excel everything, and what are those everythings? It's faith, speech, knowledge, earnestness, and inner love for you. So this is a big list. There could be some progression here. Faith, you believe, and so you speak, therefore you know, and therefore you're earnest, and then because you're earnest, you're love. But I'm not willing to, it does begin in faith and it does end in love, so maybe there's a progression there, but I'm inclined to say it's just a series. You excel in all these things. And the love we inspired on you, and the love is interesting. And the love from us in you, and the love in us. Yeah, that's interesting. The love, our love from you. Interesting. Okay. All right. I'm going to say progression because that does seem to be, you believe and so you speak, and you know, and you're earnest, and then it ends in love. So I'm going to call it progression, but I'm not gonna die on that hill. It's just interesting the way that's said there. That in the love in you from us, which is why they have the love that we inspired in you in the LBLA here and in the NASB here, but here the KJV and the ESV kind of simplify it. And I think they have more of a similar manuscript tradition behind them as well, whereas the NASB and the LBLA are the same as well, even though they're different languages. Okay, so see that you excel in this act of grace. Also, see also. So as you excel in everything, see that you do it this way. So this needs to be explained. You excel in everything. You need an idea explanation. So this is explaining what it looks like for them to excel. How do you excel in everything? You do it in faith, speech, knowledge, earnestness, and love. So since you excel in all these things, see that you excel in this act also. So even as, that's a comparison. Just like you, but it's a comparison of this thing. You do all this, as you do all this, so do it here as well. or it's like an if then. If you do, since you do, so do it here as well. But I'm going to call it a comparison because that sounds more right. He's like, as this, therefore that. Okay, so we got to keep going and get this whole thing together because all three of these have to go together under one solid arc eventually. So he should complete this act. He should complete among you. So we urge Titus to complete this act of grace, but you need to excel in it as well. So we want Titus to do it because of that. I want you to do it in this way. So complete this act of grace, but it's got to be in this way. That is an action manner again. Okay, so this is the manner in which this thing should happen. And this thing happens over here, that completing this act of grace, i.e. receiving a gift from the Corinthians, should happen because of this over here. So that means we can connect these two big arcs and call it an inference. Therefore, or accordingly. You see that up there? So, dio hopos. Let me make sure I see what the Greek is like over here. Accordingly, so to the effect that we ask Titus, it's interesting how they do that in order that as he had started. Okay, so I think that works. And so now we have the whole passage arced. You see one main idea, which I'm going to have to describe, something like Paul wants the Corinthians to give like the churches of Macedonia did. That's basically it. But you see here that there are two really big sections. Because of this is the ground, this, the conclusion, and so you have the inference, like this is coming because of that. When it's a ground, you have the thing that you say, and then you have the reason that you say it. But in inference, you say the thing that you say, and then that's the reason that you say it, and then you have here, okay, so like here's what the conclusion is. So these two sections, 6 through 7, are one big section, and 1 through 5 are another big section. So this may be a 2-point sermon. However, you can see how I often get to 3-point sermons because I think if I just do these 2 points, and I might do that, then it could be overly simplifying. It might overly simplify all this over here, like all these points with their subpoints and the way that Paul puts it together. So I'm inclined to say a main point here, another point here, third point here. But you see how I could make it even smaller. So a point here, but I could also do like this point here with this point connected to that one. And then down here, I could have it say the action manner again, because you have two action manners, action manner, what's supposed to happen and the way it's supposed to be done. So what's supposed to happen, how it's supposed to be done, or it was done in this case. And so what should happen, and therefore, and also the way it should be done. This manner comes from this one in part, and also from the past. So anyway, that's the beginning. I could, preach okay or teach this passage fairly well after doing this work, but a lot of work is left to do, and this is just the first step. I wanted to show you how it works, and I hope it was helpful for you.